Well, today is a big day for Canada because Liberals would like you to believe that everything has been solved. Mark Carney has stepped in and he's broken down these what seem to be impossible intra-provincial trade barriers, and every single province is apparently getting along with these new free trade deals within Canada. Or are they? Well, we're going to be taking a look at that along with a lot of other things. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I really want to encourage everyone to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. I've been, I've been thrown in the mix a little bit since the weekend, since trying to stand up and advocate for the Freedom Convoy organizers, Tamara Leach and Chris Barber. Now, you may have seen something floating around, and I just want to clarify that I did say on X that an unpopular opinion would be that Pierre Poilievre, I hope that he does lose the by-election so the Conservative Party can move in the right direction. Now, before you click off, you can clearly see that this is part of a thread. Here's my top two picks for leaders of the party: Michael Barrett or Jamil Jivani. I think those are great picks. I like the Conservative Party. I'm a conservative through and through. Never been a liberal. Proud to say I've never voted liberal. And I think that the Conservatives have a good opportunity now and a lot of runway to basically rebrand. I get the hype around Pierre. Nobody gets it more than me. I mean, for crying out loud, I watched him every single day in question period. He did a phenomenal job against Trudeau. Trudeau this, scams that. It was David and Goliath. He destroyed Justin Trudeau so bad that Trudeau literally resigned. I mean, that's phenomenal. But Trudeau's gone. Trudeau's gone. Like, there's no more Trudeau. You know what the Liberals did is they waited for peak F Trudeau popularity. They waited for everybody, the whole country, to be F Trudeau, F Trudeau, F Trudeau. Then they removed Trudeau. Who are we saying F to? Who are we mad at now? F the Liberals? Nah, it doesn't have the same F. F Carney. Oh no. Oh, now he won. And so if you take away what people are angry about and you replace it with something new and you rebrand it and you restructure it, it has a good chance. Pierre was great, but Pierre also got branded as a bunch of things that he isn't, right? Trump 2.0, Northern Trump, MAGA, blah, 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 never getting a security clearance. There's a whole group dedicated of women against Pierre, right? Like there's a lot of hatred on Pierre. He didn't do it. It was how the Liberals branded him. Now's a great opportunity, I think, to restructure and to see who else would be a good fit for leader for the Conservatives to win. Does that make me a traitor? Absolutely not. In fact, it makes me a patriot for wanting the Conservatives to win and just providing my opinion on a different way. Now, why would that lead to Pierre Poilievre losing his election? Well, he had an opportunity for a concession speech after he lost his riding, after he lost the federal election. Jagmeet went down on his sword. I get Pierre is still riding the tippity top of the hype, and he has every right to do so. I mean, he is a very, very popular individual. But if we take a look at history, we're going to take a look at history now and see how many people have actually, well, let's just take a look here. I took to Google or to ChatGPT, and I said, how many times has a federal Conservative Party leader lost a federal election but stayed on as party leader for another 4 years? And there's only one person post World War II in modern Canadian history. That would be Stephen Harper, 2004 to 2015. So in 2004, Stephen Harper lost to Paul Martin, Liberal minority, but he stayed on. And then 2 years later, Prime Minister Harper won, right, and became the PM. And so that's the only time in modern history where a Conservative leader has lost a federal election, but then still had a second kick at the can. Now, can Pierre recreate history? Absolutely. Yeah, for sure he can. Do I think that he has ability to take on Carney strategically? I don't know. And that was basically the premise of my post. So there you go. I mean, I still want the Conservatives to win. I think Michael Barrett is a phenomenal candidate, devoted Christian, very, very family oriented. He's got like 5 kids and very well spoken. Also, previous member of the Canadian Armed Forces. That holds a lot of weight in this country. At least we think it does. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. But enough about that. We're now going to take a look at something recent that Pierre Poilievre is standing up against, which is the longest ballot, where there's over 150 candidates registered in a by-election. Pierre Poilievre had this to say on X, where he filed a letter to Minister McKinnon. We're writing to demand action against a blatant abuse of our democratic system. The so-called longest ballot committee has once again declared its intent to flood the ballot, this time with over 200 names. Now, there used to be a fee, if I'm not mistaken, around signing up to run in elections like this, in by-elections. And the Elections Canada removed that fee to make it easier for your average Canadian to be able to run in a by-election. Now, the problem with what's going on in the longest ballot right now is it is being abused, right? And Pierre does mention this. These aren't real candidates. They're not campaigning. They aren't engaging in with constituents. This is a coordinated scheme to weaponize the ballot and disrupt our democratic process. And there's a few different ways to look at that, right? There's absolutely that's one way to look at it, or there's another way to look at it, that if you go to McDonald's and they have a deal for buy 2 get 1 free, so you go through the drive-through and you buy 2 and you get the 3rd for free, and you take the 3rd and you throw it in the garbage just because you want to. You can, that's free will. Should you not be allowed that 3rd one? Is it morally incorrect? Yeah, sure it is. I mean, it's a little rude to do that, but it's still within your rights to do that. So it's something should essentially be brought to attention, right? They should maybe bring back the fee. I don't know what that would look like, $500, $1,000. But again, I think that there's going to be a significant amount of backlash regardless of the outcome. So they're going to have to find something in the middle that can piss off everybody equally. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. What's a good way to resolve this from happening ever again? Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. And then we got to take a look at what BC Premier David Eby has to say about Trump. He's not too happy. He slams the United States ambassador. Let's take a look.
Megan was just talking about sort of big projects, but this is a story about Canadians' small actions really adding up. Donald Trump's top diplomat in Canada is Pete Hoekstra. He was speaking this week at an annual summit for business and political leaders from the Pacific Northwest Economic Region. That conference was held in Bellevue, Washington State. And he was asked by the moderator about the upcoming FIFA World Cup. Vancouver and Seattle both hosting matches, and of course they want to get full economic benefits from the cost of hosting the World Cup. He was asked about how to get tourists crossing the border between Canada and the U.S. again. Hoekstra said that if Canadians are staying home, that's their business. He said he doesn't like it, but if that's what they want to do, it's fine. He also said if Canadians want to ban American alcohol, that's also fine. But what he said next suggests that maybe it's really not all that fine with him. Hoekstra said that actions like these, consumer boycotts, are the reason that President Trump and some of his team have referred to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with. Now, BC Premier David Eby's government is kind of part of this summit, and he didn't think much of these comments. Here's what he said on Power and Politics last night.
What's your sense of just the depths of the understanding the Americans have about sort of the offense that has been done to Canada here?
I really think that at the leadership levels, there's very little awareness. The ambassador specifically said that Canadians were mean and nasty for not buying American alcohol and for boycotting the U.S. in terms of travel. And at the same time, do they think that Canadians are not going to respond when the president says, I want to turn you into the 51st state and beggar you economically unless you bow to the U.S.? Obviously, Canadians are outraged. I say Canadians stick with it, hold the line.
At this same
Hold the line. It's so weird hearing David Eby say that, because that was, I mean, that phrase almost should be coined by the Freedom Convoy. Hold the line was, I mean, essentially what was being said for a very good part of 2022. I think that it is a little bit disgraceful that Canada has been very much boycotting. Like, our politicians have been actively saying, don't buy American products, remove American liquor from our shelves. It doesn't show good friendships. It's not a sign of good faith. And I get what's happening to Canada is not okay, but Canada is supposed to be better than that. Canada prides itself on standing, on moral high ground by doing the right thing, which is not falling down to lows. And Canada unfortunately fell down to very low liberal lows. And I don't personally agree with that, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think down below. And then we got good old Dougie boy from Ontario. Yikes. Doug Ford is, well, he's very happy because he's striking a deal with Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Remarks.
This is an amazing day for our province and for our entire country, because when Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan come together, we're not just signing a piece of paper, we're sending a clear message. Canada is ready to build. And we're going to get it done as one Team Canada. For too long, we've seen projects after project get tied up in red tape, regulation, delayed, blocked, and then canceled. But today, the world needs what Canada has. It's time to think big. It's time to bring our critical minerals, our oil, our natural gas and energy to new markets across the globe. It started earlier this month when I visited Premier Smith during the Calgary Stampede, and what a great host Premier Smith was, and boy, you had quite the party. Is the party still going on? We signed an agreement to work hand in hand to build new energy and trade infrastructure. And today, Saskatchewan is stepping up. Premier Moe has offered his full support, and that's a game changer. Let me tell you our plan. This new agreement will help move Western oil and gas to new and existing refineries in southern Ontario and to northern Tidewater with deep sea port in James Bay. It will connect Ontario's critical minerals in the Ring of Fire region to new ports in Western Canada, helping to build a true end-to-end critical mineral supply chain. All of it will be built using great Ontario-made and Saskatchewan-made steel, creating jobs, attracting investment, and unlocking the full potential of our economy. And all of it will be done in partnership with Indigenous communities. Canada's premiers are stepping up.
It's funny that he says that, because only a couple or a few weeks ago, Doug Ford had said something along the lines of, we're just going to plow through Indigenous treaties and basically screw what they want. We're just going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, regardless of any demands and any deals that need to be met with First Nations, which is the controversial stance to take, no matter how you look at it. And then he retracted it either a day later or after the weekend. So now he's saying that we're going to be working with Indigenous, which again has been one of the, I don't want to say one of the largest, but it certainly has been a very large roadblock that Canada has faced years over years over years. Can the Liberals do it? I don't think so. But we'll have to see.
Now, we need the federal government to do its part. We need the federal government to fix its broken regulatory environment and streamline approvals. And I agree 100% without listing them all. We're all in agreement what Premier Smith said. If we don't get rid of these regulations, things won't fly. But we need to do that, and hopefully we'll convince the Prime Minister to do the same thing. There's no more time to waste. We're focused on a future for all Canadians, where we stand united, take control of our own destiny, and build prosperity, the likes of which we've never seen before. I want to thank both premiers for...
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't like about politics is they never look at Canadians directly in the eyes through the camera. In fact, they're always looking just a little bit off, just a little bit off, just a little bit off. I really don't like that about anyone that really gets behind the camera. It shows that you're reading off of a teleprompter and it comes off as a little bit less genuine. If you're a public speaker, if you're in the public eye, if you're a politician trying to represent Canadians, I think that you owe everybody in the country the ability to look people directly in the eye and not go off of a script, which again, if we compare, apples to apples, apples to oranges, the best person who was basically going off script was Pierre. So again, we're just going to see. Let's take a look now at Mark Carney and what he has to say with his script, about meeting with all the premiers and how this is a significant deal for Canada.
This First Minister's meeting, and let me start by thanking our host, Premier Ford, for the extraordinary hospitality, the extraordinary leadership of Ontario, but also of the Council of the Federation. Thank you for giving me this opportunity on behalf of the Government of Canada to bring First Ministers together and to touch on a number of major issues. Premier Hogan, you're the latest manifestation of this, and I think we all want to begin by acknowledging what Premier Moe, Premier Canoe, Premier Ford, Premier Legault, all of us have been going through with this terrible wildfire season. And our hearts go to those families that are affected literally across this country, all corners of this country by those wildfires. I will say that I'm pleased to see the extraordinary level of cooperation on all levels of government with respect to addressing the challenges that we're seeing. Leadership, obviously, by the provinces, but the federal government across seven different ministries is involved in protections, and the first responders and the volunteers in the communities, Indigenous peoples, making the best of a tragic situation. So thank you all, and we will continue to work together. And I think as well, I'll just underscore the conversation we had in Saskatoon as First Ministers about structurally what we can do, recognizing this is an ongoing issue. And on the current state of negotiations with the United States, I will say that, as you are aware, our senior ministers, my chief of staff, myself, were engaged in continuous discussions. Mr. LeBlanc will be reinforcing those discussions over the next few days in Washington with the United States. We are looking for the best deal for Canada. We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada. That is very much informed by our discussions. We understand as well that we all understand that the global trade environment is changing, and there are some countries that are pulling back, that are restricting market access. But there's even more countries that are opening up to market access, and the premiers have helped lead this with individual trade initiatives to Asia, to Europe, with partners around the world, and we are building on those, and part of what we will discuss is how we can be best coordinated to building positive trade relationships with reliable partners. What we collectively can most control is building a stronger economy, moving from reliance to resilience and division to unity. That will require two things. First, support for affected industries, lumber, steel, aluminum, automobiles, particularly. We had an example of that last week with a series of measures that we announced. We'll discuss the nature of those measures and how they integrate. But crucially, what we're looking to do is support those industries to build bridges, to build a stronger Canadian economy, to build forward. So if it's lumber, it's building more houses in Canada. It's developing new markets around the world as we work with the Americans. Secondly, we rightly focused in Saskatoon in the start of June on major projects. And since then, and I want to thank you individually and collectively for your support, since then, the One Canadian Economy Act, the federal act, has received royal assent. It's now law. Our new federal major projects office will be open by Labor Day, providing a single point of contact for governments, proponents, and communities for proposals. With that is this shift in attitude of the federal government towards major new projects from why to how. Why build to how to build, and how to work together in order to.
Does anybody else watch Carney and just get insanely bored? I mean, he's been talking for several minutes and he's again not getting to the point. It's very, very frustrating.
To build. And part of that how is, and you had a meeting yesterday, I know, with First Nations. Part of that is continuous engagement with Indigenous peoples. These will be critical to our success. We met with hundreds of First Nations rights holders as well as the FN last.
Yeah, what he's talking about right now, meeting with all the Indigenous, chiefs and band leaders. So many of them came out and said that they are not willing to work with the Liberals. In fact, when Justin Trudeau was prime minister, they heckled him constantly, right? You suck. You don't even step foot on our land, on our territory to come talk to us. It's always in these pre-organized auditorium meetings. It's never the prime minister going to meet the chiefs and the bands on their territories, their land. And so it's always a very disingenuous one-way relationship. And it seems like the Liberals are continuing that relationship. So no, there was videos that even were aired on CBC of these chiefs and the bands talking smack about Carney. It's not a very good look on him, and he's trying to underplay it.
Week, I will be meeting with the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee 2 days from now in Inuvik, and at the start of August with Métis leadership to begin the process of setting out how we are going to cooperate. Les Canadiens nous ont donné un mandat.
Canadians have given us.
There you go. A bunch of jargon pretty much summarizes everything that's happening today. A bunch of hopium of, hey, we're working together. See how we're all in the same room and we're going to get stuff done. Well, we dealt with that for 10 years of false promises with Justin Trudeau. What Canadians really want, and frankly, what Canadians deserve, is action. Less of these photo ops and more of just literally getting it started. Let's see the pipelines. Let's see the rails to the critical minerals. Let's see actual development happening instead of these massive, gong shows of just press conferences and, bunch of taxpayers' money going towards this. For crying out loud, they all just went and did a summer vacation at these cottages on our dime. Like, it's just crazy what's going on. So anyways, I'll believe it when I see it. Kind of like Santa Claus. Thanks so much for watching. See you in another video. Bye for now. Hit the like button.